Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tidbits of Tecia, where we talk about Tecia Lynn in small doses because, well, she's a lot. So, hello, you guys. I have missed doing these. I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. This is episode 5 of Tidbits of Tecia. And what this is a series where we read through the incident reports right now, currently, the incident reports from El Paso County Jail at Leticia Stauch's time in between her arrest and her trial. There was a lot of stuff that took place. So, we're going to have all kinds of stuff to talk about for a long time. But I wanted to say just quickly, after this series is done, or after the jail file is done, or even, let's say, after the incident reports are done, the series may continue after that. I just may change it or morph it as we go, depending on what we're talking about. But anyways, I just wanted to let you guys know that. Let's go ahead. Let me pull up what we're going to look at today. Our reports start from June of 2020. This first report is Catherine Draper, who was working at the El Paso County Criminal Justice Center. So Catherine writes, at approximately 6 p.m., inmate blank started yelling out of her blank door. I went to her cell door to find out why she was yelling, and inmate blank appeared to be visibly upset. Inmate blank said that inmate Stauch, Leticia, was, quote, talking shit, unquote, about her, and she did not appreciate it. Inmate blank said that inmate blank, who stays in the cell directly above this inmate, told her through the vents in the wall that inmate Stauch was calling her out on snitching on her. Inmate blank said that Stauch was getting an escape charge and it was all inmate blank's fault. Inmate blank then yelled out in the ward that inmate Stauch should tell the truth and stop blaming other inmates for her own behavior. Inmate blank said that Stauch has phone numbers of hers and she wanted them back. Inmate blank then asked Deputy Herbert and me if we would go get the phone numbers from her. I asked her how Stauch had her numbers, and she said that inmate Stauch and herself have exchanged notes by passing them under the cell doors. When inmate Stauch has her hour out, inmate blank would pass the note under her door for Stauch to have. Inmate blank is lower level restricted, so she is not allowed upstairs where inmate Stauch is housed. Deputy Herbert and I went up to inmate Stauch's cell and opened the door. Inmate Stauch is a no law enforcement contact, so no one is supposed to be asking her questions or talking to her unless it has to do with her housing, health, or meals. I told inmate Stauch that inmate blank would like her list of phone numbers back. Stauch told me that she just gave them to the other deputy with the blonde ponytail. I explained to her that the only one in there was Deputy Herbert. I asked Deputy Herbert if she had already got the numbers from inmate Stauch, and she said she has not received anything from her. Stauch said no. I put them in an envelope and gave them to the lady who was just in here. As I got ready to shut inmate Stauch's door, she started to raise her voice at me, telling me something about writing a book. I explained to inmate Stauch that I will not hold a conversation about anything with her. Stauch continued to talk. I told her over again 3 times that I am not going to talk to her about any information. Inmate Stauch told me I was the one up there asking questions, and I immediately stopped her and told her I did not ask her anything. Inmate Stauch continued to talk, so I shut the door and walked away. Within just a couple minutes, inmate blank and Stauch were yelling back and forth at each other. Inmate blank was telling Stauch that she needs to grow up and take accountability for her actions. Inmate blank told her that she knew she was wrong and wanting to break out of the facility, and that inmate Stauch even asked inmate blank for tools in the direction of the river from behind the facility. Inmate Stauch yelled back a few times. This is informational and I have nothing further. Now, our next incident took place on June the 5th of 2020. So see what I mean? With Leticia, just because she is who she is, 1 month of incident reports, there could be a ton. Sometimes there's stuff that's happening almost every day with her. So inmate Stauch broken toilet and desk set. This is written by Deputy J. Tillett. who works with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office Detention Bureau and was assigned deputies as primary deputy. So on June 4th of 2020, after returning from her professional visit, inmate Leticia Stauch complained that her toilet was not working. Inmate Stauch asked about maintenance fixing the toilet. Deputy K. Arndt, P. Parker, and I went to her cell. Stauch is supposed to be restrained anytime she is out of her cell. I told her to back up to her cell door and place her hands together. I opened the cell door and Deputy Parker placed restraints on inmate Stauch. Deputies Parker and Arndt stood by inmate Stauch outside of her cell while I entered the cell to plunge the toilet. I manipulated the plunger a few times and went to flush the toilet. The metal piece around the flush button looked odd, so I grabbed it and was able to pull it away from the wall. I exited the cell and told Stauch to go downstairs to blank. We placed inmate Stauch in blank, unrestrained her, and walked back to the original cell. I told deputies Parker and Arndt that the flush button was broken and pulled out of the wall. We began looking in the pipe chase at the flush mechanism. Deputy Parker was in the cell and discovered that the seat top was broken off the desk. From what we can see, it appears that Stauch broke the seat off the desk and was using it to pry the metal piece around the flush button. The flush button has a nut just inside the wall and one on the other side of the wall in the pipe chase. It appeared that Stauch was turning the flush button in attempt to get it out of the wall. The nut inside the pipe chase was barely threaded onto the flush button. The wire came out of the flush button and was twisted up. I called for any available sergeant over my radio. Sergeant Lipford responded, and I asked her to come to blank. Once Lipford arrived, we showed her what was going on. Sergeant Lipford told us to have inmate Stauch taken to blank. Stauch was placed in full restraints, handcuffs, black box, chain, and leg irons. She was then transported to blank. Pictures were taken of the flush chase and desk. Secured in blank and the cell closed until maintenance can fix it. Sergeant Lipford told us to have inmate Stauch to intake and run through the body scanner. Inmate Stauch was cleared and returned to the ward. She was housed in blank per Sergeant Lipford. At this time, I am charging inmate Stauch with the following. Class 2, Rule 24, damage property. An inmate commits this offense when he causes or personally destroys, alters, mutilates, defaces, or renders useless the property of others or the county. A DB 45 was completed and sent to the hearing board. So here she's getting another charge, destruction of property. Now this is, Friday, June 5th. So this was on June the 4th. Now this is the next day, this next incident report, and it is about her cell condition. So on Friday, June 5th, Deputy Susan Zamora was assigned duties as ward deputy for shift 2. Upon relieving Deputy Tillett, she informed me that inmate Leticia Stauch was moved from her cell after she complained about her toilet not working. It was discovered the toilet flush button was hanging off the wall and the desk chair seat had been found removed from the desk. At approximately 9:20 a.m., I did inspect blank. The toilet button was hanging off the wall. The desk chair seat was removed from the base, and there were deep scratches on the cell window leading to the back of the facility. It appeared there were scrapings from the window on the windowsill and desk. This cell was occupied by Leticia from May 4th to the 15th, and then again from May 19th to June 4th. When I conducted an inspection of this cell, inmate Stauch was conducting her hour out, which was between 8 and 9 a.m. I specifically looked at the window and the toilet button along with other areas of the cell to conduct my housing inspection. During that time, the window was not scratched up and the toilet button was attached to the wall as it should have been. I recall the inspection of this cell due to a report written about inmate Stauch wanting to escape through the cell window. I have nothing further. And we talked about that in our last tidbits. If you missed it, there was a time period when Leticia got an extra charge for trying to escape. And we knew that she had measured herself and they found this letter to Harley. We knew some of that stuff. If you missed the last episode of Tidbits of Tecia, we went through the reports from when that happened. So here is another narrative. The other deputy that was there that just describes basically what they saw in the cell and the damage to the cell. They took multiple pictures, downloaded the pictures, and contacted the DA. They wanted to see if the DA wanted to do criminal charges or supplement her current case. Per DA Allen, I was instructed to complete a supplement to the El Paso County. She could have gotten an extra charge for this. All the photos from it are in the evidence locker. That is something that we could see if we wanted to. So now this is a disciplinary hearing report. Now this is from June the 12th of 2020. This is over the damage to property. Advisement and plea. Stauch read the advisement of Board of Rights and stated she understood those rights as written in the inmate handbook. She was read the Miranda warning and said she understood her rights, and she entered the following plea: not guilty to damage to property. Inmate Stauch stated she was having trouble flushing her toilet and mentioned the issue to staff in the month of May. She stated she thought she told Deputy White about the toilet not flushing, but wasn't sure. Stauch stated she did not go into detail with Deputy White about the issue, but did mention the toilet not flushing. Stauch was asked if she notified staff about the damaged toilet flush button when she stated she notified mental health about the problem. Inmate Stauch stated the plate behind the button was loose due to inmates in the ward above her cell making and rattling noises. She said she noticed it was loose and shook it around with an attempt to fix the problem. She stated she cut her finger trying to fix the toilet when she shook the plate and proceeded to show me an old cut on her finger. Inmate Stauch was asked if she attempted to get behind the metal plate to possibly alter the wires to fix the toilet issue when she stated, no, I only moved the plate around and banged on it, kind of like what you would do if your battery wasn't working, unquote. Inmate Stauch was asked if anything else was damaged in her cell that she noticed when she stated her cell seat was almost coming off. Stauch stated she was sleeping on her bunk and had a night terror when she accidentally hit her head on the seat, which resulted in it almost falling off the weld. Stauch was asked to explain why staff found the bench seat not attached to the desk when she stated, quote, deputies did it when they searched her cell, unquote. After Stauch stated staff removed her bench seat, she was asked to again explain how much damage she accidentally caused to the seat when she hit her head, quote unquote, accidentally caused. Stauch stated she knocked the seat off the bench, lifted it up off the desk attachment. She tried to attach the seat by its 4 attachments, but was not able to because they were welded on, her words. Inmate Stauch was questioned on her previous statement. After she admitted to accidentally, quote unquote, accidentally removing it when she hit her head, and she stated, quote, that's all I know, sir, unquote. She was found guilty, the hearing board found the determination guilty for damage to property. The hearing board officer came to a decision from the incident report written by Deputy Tillett, photos attached to the report, and statements made by Leticia herself. Leticia was found guilty due to damaging the toilet flush plate button and cell bench seat, which resulted in the toilet and cell bench seat becoming no longer usable. Photos attached to the report show the toilet button plate not attached to the wall with a bend on the plate along with a bench seat not attached to the desk. Stauch admitted to accidentally damaging the bench seat due to having a night terror, which resulted in her hitting her head on the seat. She stated she cut her finger. After gathering all the facts related to this incident and evaluating the situation as presented to the board, I have reached a final disposition in this matter. The hearing board officer believes, based on all the evidence, it is more probable than not the inmate is guilty of Rule 24. So due to this, Leticia lost all privileges for 15 days. She got disciplinary segregation, and total days in lockdown will be 15 days. So, approved for hearing board, guilty, 15 days of lockdown. It's quite interesting to see how they do this. And here we have the images. Okay, so we don't have to wait to request them. These are in here. I told you I was, kind of reading as we go now at this point. Well, that resulted in a damage to property charge and 15 days in the hole. Okay, we are going to move right along because I want to talk about a couple more reports on this episode. This is about inmate Borchardt fears for safety. Okay, this is going to be interesting. This took place on June the 5th as well. Deputy Tracy Strickland is the author. So at approximately 7:30 p.m., Leticia Stauch was on her hour out. Inmate Stauch was standing in front of cell that houses inmate blank. I could not hear most of the conversation. However, I did hear inmate blank say that all her information was on the national news. I heard inmate blank say this several times. I then heard inmate Stauch call her a snitch. I heard inmate blank say that money appeared on her books from people she does not know. I heard Stauch say that people she does not know from around the world put money on her books. I was aware that there was a criminal filing against inmate Stauch by Deputy K. Draper for criminal solicitation. Stauch allegedly gave handwritten notes to this inmate stating she was going to escape and asking inmate blank to get the broom since she has access to it so she could break her window. At approximately 9:30 p.m., inmate blank was on the phone crying. A short time later, inmate blank said that her friend just told her on the phone that her name and date of birth were leaked on Facebook and news websites calling her a snitch. Inmate blank was crying and stated she was in fear for her safety and the safety of her family now that her name was associated with inmate Stauch. Inmate blank said if she had known her information was going to be released, she would have never turned the letters into the deputy. Inmate blank said her name will now forever be connected to a murderer. She stated her mother was going to find this information out on the news, and she was visibly upset. She stated she was unable to contact her mom, and now her mom would hear about this on the news. I Googled inmate Stauch's name and found an update on Fox 21 where there was a copy of the probable cause affidavit in its entirety. Inmate blank was listed in the affidavit numerous times by full name and date of birth. Inmate Stauch's new charges were on several news sites nationally. I called inmate class IC and spoke with Jarl Wood about the situation. I had also spoken to Sergeant Ward and Sergeant Smith. Inmate blank is classified as a Gen Pop inmate, general population. IC Wood stated he would look into the situation and call back. Jarl did a call back a short time later and stated it was possible to do a swap with inmate blank. I stated I was not sure how that would work because inmate blank is inmate blank's significant other and that inmate blank was already aware of the situation as it has been all over the news, and it may cause more issues in the ward between inmate blank and Stauch. IC Wood said he would call back, but then called back and said he spoke with Liz O'Neill, and she was not willing to move inmate blank out of blank. Inmate blank has 3 inmates she has segregations with in blank. She stated I could move the inmate a few cells down away from Stauch. Blank is the only cell I had available, which was stripped of a desk. This inmate sits at her desk a lot and writes and reads books. It was then suggested to IC Wood that she could be made a seg all inmate, which means she could have no contact with other inmates and remain in the same ward. Inmate blank felt like that was punishing her. I spoke with the sergeant and relayed this information. She decided to add an alert to her as a court concern, so she will be transported by herself and in a cell by herself for her upcoming court date. Segregations between the 2 inmates have been placed. So after Leticia was told on, she wasn't having it. And this, I would be afraid for my safety as well if I was her, because, your information is all over the national news tied to Leticia Stauch. that's scary no matter what, right? All right, let's look at one more report for this episode, and then we will get into our next episode. I'm going to record it tonight. Maybe it will be out tonight. I'm not sure, but it will be very soon. I just don't like, I like wrapping these episodes up pretty quickly, and we're already at 20 minutes. So now we're on to Saturday, June 6th. And this is about Ward 1A2 inmate behaviors. And the author is Deputy Suzanne Zamora. Okay. On Saturday, June 6th, at approximately 7:15 p.m., there we go, inmate Stauch was standing at the cell door, lightly hitting her head on the glass window. And let me pause there and just say I started reading on the wrong paragraph, and that's why I said oops. And just so you guys are aware, these recordings are actually recorded live, and I'm not going back to edit anything out. There's so much in this file. It's going to take so long to just go through it. So I think that's the best way to do that. But okay, so at 7:15, Leticia is standing at the door, lightly hitting her head on the glass window. Inmate Stauch appeared tearful. I asked her why she was doing that. Inmate Stauch replied, "I am so over this crap. I don't have a bunk. I don't have a desk. I'm getting punished for reporting my toilet not working. I didn't do anything to it. I told you guys so you can get it fixed. I am in a dirty cell, sleeping on the floor. I haven't eaten since I got moved in here." Unquote. I offered to get some cleaning supplies for her so she could clean the cell. Inmate Stauch stated, "What for? I am still going to sleep on the floor." So at approximately 7:30, Deputy Tace Cruz and I opened Stauch's cell in order for her to get her morning medication. During this time, I did place several brown paper towels with spray cleaner on them in inmate's sink for her to use. Inmate Stauch refused her morning medication and continued to appear tearful until about 12:30. Inmate Stauch ate her lunch while walking around in her cell. I asked Stauch if used the paper towels so I could throw them out, and she stated she did use them. Stauch also complained about ants being in her cell. I only witnessed one ant in the cell the day before. I did a front desk staff member and asked him place blank down on the pest sighting booklet for Mug-a-Bug Company to service it. Be advised, I did work blank on 6/5/20. Stauch did eat her lunch and dinner meals. I also gave her paper towels. I sprayed her cell with cleaner, and she wiped some of it down. On June 4th, she did damage to her desk chair, window, and toilet flush button, and she was moved to blank due to the damage. Stauch does not have any marks or redness on her forehead as of 6/6/2020, 1500 hours. At approximately 1:39 hours, inmate blank began loudly yelling, "Effing B word, you guys effed with my lunch. Get me a new one now. Effing B, you hear me? Get me new food now." Inmate blank continued to yell out after I attempted to speak with her. Inmate blank continued to yell out obscenities and threats, which caused other inmates to yell at her. Be advised, I did witness inmate blank eating some of the food she claimed we mess with. Inmate blank will not receive an hour out. So that is not about Leticia. That's about another inmate in the same ward. Okay, so we are going to wrap it up there. We're going to start our next episode with June 6th. So this entire 20-some minute episode was only incidents that took place in the first week of June. Not even that. And tomorrow, or probably actually tonight, there will be the new tidbits, which will be episode 6, will start on June 6th. And it starts with a screw is now missing from her door. She was always up to something, always up to no good, lying, all the Leticia things that we know her to do. Otherwise, you guys, I'm going to let you all go. Thank you so much for listening to me read through this jail file. yeah, it's been pretty intense and pretty insane. Crazy, but not insane. But anyways, I hope you guys have a lovely day, rest of your day, and thank you so much for being here, and I will see you all soon.